We have been highlighting issues that impact you as a home buyer. Today we look at how people are living in residential complexes of Gurgaon which do not have occupation certificates, which means these complexes do not have the necessary clearances from government authorities. Onitam Ojha looks at the implications and the way ahead for all these residents in this special report.
These residential complexes of Gurgaon may be another Campa-Cola compound in the making. Majority of these housing complexes do not have the mandatory occupation certificates, or in other words, do not have necessary clearances from the government authorities. Leena Sehgal is living in one such complex, RD City in Sector 52, Gurgaon. This housing complex with 400 flats do not have occupation certificate. Lack of occupation certificate means the residents are not insured against any calamity and therefore cannot claim any compensation from government authorities in case of an emergency.
10 साल से हम ये पोजेशन हमको बिल्डर ने दे दिया है ए ब्लॉक से एंड आज तक ऑक्यूपेशन सर्टिफिकेट नहीं हुआ. टाउन प्लानर के आगे डीड ऑफ डेक्लेरेशन इनकी जो कि ऑक्यूपेशन पोजेशन सर्टिफिकेट के बाद वो भी नहीं, प्रोविजनल भी नहीं मिला हम लोगों को. दे हैव जस्ट हैंड ओवर की फॉर वुड वर्क.
The story is no different in this posh housing township of Fresco in Sector 50, Gurgaon.
पोर्टल बाउंड्री वॉल है, वो भी जो सामने की है वो चदरों से बनी हुई है, पीछे की भी नहीं है. कोई भी पीछे से भी आ सकता है जो बाउंड्री आपने दूसरे, और सामने भी जो है वहाँ भी कोई सिक्योरिटी नहीं है बेसिकली. और गैस की प्रॉब्लम है ही है. फ्लैट जितने बने हुए हैं, जितने सैंक्शन हुए हैं उससे ज़्यादा हैं, और जो EWS हैं वो भी ज़्यादा बने हुए हैं. तो उस केस में जो जब भी ये आप अप्लाई करेंगे OC के लिए तो उसमें प्रॉब्लम होगी ही होगी.
Residents of this uber posh residential complex in Sector 30 of Gurgaon have been fighting for the occupation certificate for the past 3 years.
Unitech handed us over this complex in 2012 March, and we have been given all the documentation. And soon after we took over, we had a meeting with the local senior town planner and told him that we still haven't got the occupation certificate for 4 towers. But to date, despite the fact that we've had a number of meetings with the Unitech people as well as the STP, no occupation certificate has been received for these 4 towers.
Here is what the law says and what you as the resident can do.
If you don't have occupation certificate, then you are in a very grim situation, because all you can do is sue the developer or the promoter for damages. If tomorrow, for some reason, the occupation certificate never comes and the local authority wants to demolish the building, you have no right to stop them from doing that by saying that the developer cheated you and got into a building without an occupation certificate. If you don't have that certificate, then of course there are various provisions of the law which can tighten the noose around the developer of the building, and can make him pay damages. There could be also criminal liability on him.
Our attempts to get a response from senior officials of the Haryana Department of Town and Country Planning yielded little result, as they said they will need more time to look into the issue before they can comment. As per the Haryana Department of Town and Country Planning numbers, there are about 774 group housing complexes in Gurgaon alone, and just 0.1% have completion certificates. So, is it time to revisit provisions of the law, or is it just that the authorities need to tighten the noose? In Gurgaon, Onitam Ojha, NDTV.
This is going to come as a rude shock to so many flat owners in Gurgaon and in other residential hubs of the country. Residing in your apartment without an occupation certificate is as good as living on rent. You might think you are the true owner of your flat, but you are just an occupant and not an owner unless your complex has an occupation certificate. We have Supreme Court advocate Siddharth Yadav in the studio with us to help us understand the legal implications of living in your complex without an OC. Siddharth, thank you so much for joining us. Talking about an occupation certificate, what does it signify for a residential project? And without one, if you take possession, what are the legal implications for how unsecured and how unprotected is a buyer without an OC?
Okay, to answer your second question first, you correctly said you have no title, you're just as good as a tenant. That is a simplified way of saying it. but what it really means is that the person never has valid title or will not have a sale deed in some cases, in most actually. And here, the title once becomes defective. Suppose you want to mortgage your property, you cannot, because you don't have a perfect title to do that. You cannot raise loans against that property. And tomorrow, if there is any problem which the authorities, the Huda in this case, because Gurgaon or any other municipality raises any objections with regard to the construction or the development, they have the right to enter the entire complex and change the nature of the complex, or even demolish some area which is illegal. So the OC really is the legal title which gives the builder the right to hand it over to the authority, to the association, which then enters into the association's Haryana Development, that is the Residents Association, and so on and so forth. Secondly, the financial implications on the residents. The minute you move in, you have to start paying a higher maintenance, which would not be when you are outside. So you are living in a property which you don't effectively own and pay a much higher maintenance, which creates a huge problem for you. You would have to pay builder charges for electricity, which he may be generating through generators. I have had a case, believe it or not, where the builder handed over a project without having electrical or the water connection. And he said he would supply water through tankers and he would generate his own electricity, because of which the maintenance goes very high, just because he did not have a valid occupation certificate. These are some of the problems which really come up at a later stage if OC is not available initially.
Okay, so this whole practice of delivering projects, giving possession without an OC is quite rampant in Gurgaon at least, and a lot of these residents claim that this is because of maintenance, like you just pointed out, so that they can charge maintenance, because maintenance is a huge cash cow for these builders, and unless and until you don't give an OC, you don't have to exit the project. Is that why they dilly-dally on this process?
Yes. You see, all builders, at least we've seen in Gurgaon mostly, are getting a conditional OC, which is a conditional occupation certificate. Now, those conditions are listed in the letter which is issued by the concerned authority itself. And it clearly says, subject to this, fulfilling this, you can hand over. But they ignore that. You must have also come across, and I have on several occasions, where builders are not forthcoming in handing over the OC, a copy of the OC to the residents. Then what do? Here they have a demand notice from the builder to take possession, and there the other side they don't even get the occupation certificate. Now there's another catch which the builder utilizes and cashes on here, which is the minute the person is ready to move in, an individual, the builder will take the last 10% of the money which is due. That becomes another financial implication on the owner. Now the builder has taken that 10%, also has started levying a higher maintenance, whereas the person doesn't even have the OC or the right to live in that property, which is dependent on the whims and fancies of the builder.
Okay.
Use the RTI, send an application to the minute you receive a demand from the builder saying we have the OC and please take it. If the builder is not forthcoming in furnishing you to the OC, write an RTI, ask for the OC from the government department, and you'll get an answer within 30 days. That will clarify a lot of doubts in people's mind.
Okay. There was a case of Unitech World Spa residents. They had to overnight actually wrest control of the complex by actually overnight changing the security guards, but that's not possible in every case.
Yes.
What are there any legal options for residents of a complex which does not have an OC to actually get onto the right track and force their builder to actually deliver?
Now, delivering an OC, I think your question is that whether they can take over possession of they already have the possession. Now, getting an OC is the responsibility of the builder. Right. Now, whatever the...
But the OC will not come in until all internal development works are completed.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. Now, even in the World Spa, if I remember correctly, there were several deficiencies. And those deficiencies had to be overcome by the residents. Some have been overcome. I don't know whether all have been overcome. And till the time all have been overcome, the department here or the Huda or the state authorities will not grant a complete OC. That is not forthcoming. It will be a conditional. They will raise some more conditions. They may reduce a few conditions, but that process will go on. So pushing the builder out is only wresting possession of the property, so that the maintenance can come down. That is one aspect. I think that's what applied in the World Spa case. But that may not be the case in every other resident association who need title, who need a valid title. Right. That will not be forthcoming till the time the occupation certificate is not granted by the government.
Okay, for that the builder has to deliver. So we come back to square one. All right, Siddharth, thank you so much for joining us today.
Right.